Okay, so welcome to my camper build series, hopefully. Um, I basically came up with this idea after having too much time off at Christmas and watching too many YouTube videos of people building their own campers. And after watching enough YouTube videos, I decided it doesn't look that hard and I'm sure I can do it. So I designed in SketchUp. I originally designed for a different trailer, hence why this is called Trailer 2. But long story short, I ended up with a utility trailer. It's a 6.5 by 12, single axle, doesn't have any brakes, but the axle and bearings and wheel assembly was brand new, and I got it for a good price. So that's the story there. I do plan on making it removable, I guess like the camper pod style, like you see at one other YouTube channel. Can't remember right now. It's the orange camper. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, basically the point of this video is I'm just gonna be, so here's my total design. Should end up something like this. Sleeping quarters in the front, kitchen type thing in the back. But for this video, all I'm doing is building the base. So the floor that will sit on the trailer. This side will sit on the trailer. And the rest of the camper will be built on it. So my plan, which you will see, is I'm making it out of wood, obviously, and I have rigid insulation in between. And I plan on gluing pretty much anything that touches anything. So the wood gets glued and screwed, and the foam gets glued all around its edges. So I'm hoping like the rigid foam will add rigidity and strength because it's quite strong stuff. I've seen people make campers out of just foam. So I figure if I have the foam, I might as well bond it to the frame, and hopefully it's like one composite sandwiched panel type deal. So yeah, enjoy. Okay, so here's the trailer as I bought it. It was, you know, a little rusty. The deck was all sun faded and dirty. But it had a brand new axle, wheels, bearings, etc., so that was nice. So the first thing I did, I took the folding gate off, I took the edges off, sanded everything down, I painted it, and actually used some leftover deck stain on the wood after sanding it down, so it kind of looks nice here, as you can see. So that is what we're starting with. So I made this base out of wood and whatever, sawhorses. It's a 4 by 16 base, and I plan to build my trailer in pieces. Everything's like 6 feet wide, so it's nice because there's about a foot overhang, as you'll see here. And another thing is the insulation I bought is 1.5 inches thick to go with the 2x2s, which are also 1.5 inches thick, but the 1.5 inch thick insulation is shiplap edge. So the first thing I have to do is just trim off the little overhang parts, I guess. So I believe that's what this time lapse is. I did a lot of time lapses because I actually like them. I know lots of people don't, but you don't realize how much work goes into, I don't know, pretty much every step of the way. So I'm gonna put them in. There's a lot of time lapses. If you don't want to watch it all, just skip forward. Yeah, here I'm just trimming off that little part on each side, and then the front and back. Here you can see me start to cut the wood. So there's 2x4s on the front, the back, and then where the dividing wall for the kitchen is. And then I think in between in the sleeping area it's all 2x2s. So I think I'm just cutting these up and kind of staging it. You can see there's about a foot overhang. That'll make more sense coming up soon here. I didn't film myself cutting all the foam because that would be quite boring, but I think soon here we'll snap. Yeah, so this is everything staged, trimmed, cut to size, and I'm putting PL300 here, which is foam board adhesive. So where the foam meets the wood, there's PL300. My wife is helping me. I think you might even see my daughter later. So yeah, we're just putting PL300 on each edge so that every joint or connection is stuck together, I guess. I'm calling this the poor man's camper because I'm trying not to spend $1 million on it, and I believe the tubes of PL300 are like 15 bucks, and because I got the big tubes, not sure if you can tell from the video, and I think I used about 3/4 of one for this whole thing. Later on you'll see I also, when we put the plywood on top, I also put it on the face, I guess you'd say. So here I actually got some long tarp straps, or ratchet straps I guess, because to clamp everything together pretty much. I had pre-cut the edges, the top and bottom here, so once I lined everything up straight, I'm just clamping, pretty much compressing everything together to the right length, if that makes sense, because the top and bottom are pre-cut, so like when I first lined them up, it was, you know, too long, so I just compressed until it became the right length. So here, I think, okay, we called it, oh, I guess I should mention I put pocket holes in all of these. So that far side is lined up properly, not overly compressed, not compressed enough. It should be the right dimensions. So here I'm putting PL300 on the ends, and I'm using construction adhesive for the wood just because it fills in gaps a little bit better than wood glue. So yeah, basically just screwing in each wood, like the 2x2s to the 2x4 edge, making sure the foam is roughly lined up. It worked pretty well. There's a little bit bowed, but the foam actually, you can compress it enough, so not even sure what I'm doing here. Oh, I didn't put the other end on, so I'm screwing the other side on here. How long does this go on for? A while. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, after the top and bottom boards were screwed on, nothing's really going to move anymore, so I took the ratchet straps off, and since I was feeling productive, and I figured we'd do this while, you know, glue's still drying, I put on the plywood. So the part that's facing up right now will actually be facing down. This will be on the trailer deck. Here I'm PL300, no, I'm actually construction adhesiving, and I believe, yeah, I missed the PL300 on this front board. I guess I was just stressing too much about all the loose joints and everything, so it got construction adhesived, but not PL300, which is the foam board adhesive, so I think I only missed that on the first one. Another thing I screwed up in retrospect is I cut this plywood to length. There's like a 3/8 overhang on the front and the sides because that's the thickness of my exterior plywood. But I should have left like, you know, 1.5 inches on each side and then cut it once it was all done, because I think as it gets to the end, things kind of get a little bit out of square and there's not quite a perfect 3/8 lip on each side, but oh well, live and learn. So here I'm just construction adhesiving again, and I did put construction adhesive on the edge of the first plywood to try and glue it I guess, to the next piece. And yeah, it's basically rinse and repeat. So skip forward if you want. Okay, so here I am using, or getting my landscape fabric ready. I'm just pre-cutting the two pieces. One thing I didn't mention is I labeled this video, titled it, I guess, Will This Even Work? So the base is kind of my trial run for everything. Like, it was the trial run for just, you know, pocket holes, trimming the foam, making everything one solid glued together piece, sandwiched panel, whatever. And I'm also doing, since this is going to be facing down, it won't be, you know, visible really. So I'm going to do poor man's fiberglass, which I've never done before. I'm going to just go ahead and do it right away on the bottom, and then I'll put the bottom on the trailer, and then I will likely build the rest of the walls individually and assemble it on my trailer. So this whole video is basically just kind of like the warm-up, the trial run to see what I can do. Alright, so I'm getting ready to do the poor man's fiberglass. Basically I just, you know, filled the holes, sanded it. This seam I half filled. It actually made a bit of a lip, so it's unfortunate, but I think I'm just going to squirt wood glue way down in there, and that'll act as filler, ideally. This is kind of the only bad area. This other seam here worked out a lot better. But yeah, just showing it before I start. There's a few little cracks. Actually, this one's bigger. I'm hoping the wood glue will fill in there, swell the wood, become flat, whatever. I'm using Titebond 3. I think I'm going to dilute it 10:1. And I'm also using landscape fabric instead of canvas because landscape fabric's a lot cheaper. And I've seen a few guys that swear by it. And also with the amount of wood I'm using, I don't really need the added strength from the canvas. Just trying to make a nice surface, I guess. So that's what you'll probably see me do next. I just got this roller, this little bottle. I'm gonna try mixing it up. If it ends up being too slow, I'll probably switch to something else, but I don't know. That's the plan. So here you see me start doing the poor man's fiberglass, and I really did not know what I was doing, which is, you know, why I'm doing it on the bottom first. So I read on the internet, they were like, oh yeah, roll it out, let it tack up, and then lay your fabric down. But it was, I don't know what was going on, but it was hot in my garage. Like, I think you see me go almost halfway down the one side here, and then when I went back to the start, it was almost, it was like, not dried, but it was a lot more than just tacky. So I don't know. I had to move a lot faster. I ended up doing, I don't know, maybe 2 feet at a time. I think I reapply, I can't quite remember, but I reapply, roll it out, top coat it, roll it all in, and then that ended up being my strategy, just doing a couple feet at a time. And I only recorded the one piece because the other side was the same. I did make a little bit of a second time lapse. I'll put the timestamp for that because this is pretty boring. Yeah, so I'm learning as I go, and this ended up being my kind of final strategy here. I just unrolled the fabric as I went, but I would coat the wood pretty healthily. Like, I think I was a little too stingy on the glue at first. So I'd coat it pretty good, try and get as much wrinkles out, and then put another top coat on and just spread it all around. And the wood glue penetrated the landscape fabric. I think I have pretty cheap fabric. I read online some people were saying, oh no, glue won't stick, or glue won't penetrate, it'll just stay on top, but no, like my stuff, like by the time I rolled glue on the bottom and top, it was like squishy with glue, so there was quite a bit. Hard to tell from the video. Here I screwed up and put it on the top, I think, before the bottom, but corrected it. You got a decent amount of time to work before the glue hardens. So I'm just coating glue on the wood, rolling out the fabric, coating glue on top, smushing it all in, and I used a paint scraper to get any wrinkles out. I would just kind of pull the fabric perpendicular from the wrinkle. The weave of the landscape fabric has enough give. I got decently good at it by the end, so yeah, that was my final landscape fabric for Ren's fiberglass technique. I kind of stopped recording after this because it's a lot of the same. Once this was dry, like 24 hours later, I came back and rolled wood glue on again, which actually really helped strengthen it. It seemed a little weak at first, and I was a little worried about the whole system, but after a top coat, I guess you'd say, of wood glue, it was quite a bit stronger. I believe I have a picture coming up here. Not really sure why, but so yeah, this is what it was like, I think, after the top coat. Okay, so here's the finished product. It was 2 layers of glue, and actually this is 4 layers of paint. I'll probably do a 5th, but it actually looks good. Here's, I guess, an up close. You can still see the landscape fabric texture, but I kind of like it actually. Looks good. It feels tough, stuck on, and hopefully waterproof. There's a few places, even the seam. This is the seam. There's a few not great areas, but it is the bottom, so this was kind of a trial run. I think I will end up doing the whole camper in poor man's fiberglass. So, yeah, success.